Good evening and welcome to Panther Politics, your main source for Georgia State political news. I'm Michaela Neaton.
And I'm Chip Matthews. Coming up, we'll get you up to date on the possible trade war with China. And Georgia State has a new SGA president. But before that, a local official is under a little bit of fire.
A former City of Atlanta official is facing some pretty serious charges. Federal prosecutors indicted Reverend Mitzi Bickers after several years of investigation. We obtained this video from CBS 46 showing Bickers leaving the federal courthouse in Atlanta. Her charges include conspiring to commit bribery, wire fraud, money laundering, federal obstruction, and tax fraud.
Bickers allegedly steered lucrative city contracts to companies belonging to Elvin Mitchell and Charles Richards Jr. between 2010 and 2015. Bickers received over $2 million in bribes in exchange for $17 million in city contracts. Investigators say Bickers used the proceeds of the bribes on a $650,000 home in Jonesboro. She also purchased 4 Yamaha Wave Runners, an SUV, an ATV, and went on multiple expensive vacations. Mitchell and Richards are currently serving federal prison sentences after pleading guilty to paying bribes to Bickers. Bickers' arraignment hearing was April 5th, and we will continue to bring you the latest in that matter.
Lawmakers approved a bill that will likely change your taxes next year. Here is a copy of House Bill 329, which will cut state income tax rates. The bill will save Georgians statewide about $150 million a year. Most of the savings going to those who earn over $97,000 a year. If signed into law, House Bill 329 also implements a new earned income tax credit for low-income families. The new earned income tax credit will make up for higher tax rates that some families might face. Experts believe the bill also will be a great tax relief for small businesses. They also believe will lead to further tax cuts. The bill is now awaiting Governor Nathan Deal's consideration. And I definitely think that, saving money is a great thing.
Always. 2 of the biggest economies are on the brink of a trade war. Trade tensions between China and the U.S. are rising, and neither side is backing down. This video from Reuters TV shows President Trump next to a pretty lengthy bill. Since the beginning of this year, the Trump administration imposed several tariffs on China. In January, the U.S. announced a 30% tariff on imported solar panels and 20% on washing machines. March brought about more tariffs from the U.S., 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum. And this month, China imposed tariffs of their own. 120 imports, including wine, fruit, nuts, and steel pipes will see a 15% tariff from China. 8 other products will have a 25% tariff. They include pork and recycled aluminum.
The battle has not stopped there. On April 3rd, the U.S. administration threatened to attach a $50 billion tariff to other Chinese goods. In response, a day later, China claimed that they too would put tariffs on $50 billion worth of American goods. The day following China's threat, the U.S. tacked on another $100 billion. No word yet if either side has gone up on the ante.
Sounds like some of our favorite products are about to get a little more expensive.
Well, there is a new president of Georgia State Student Government Association. Franklin Patterson won the election, but the margin of victory was slim. None of the 3 candidates obtained 51% of the vote. A runoff between Franklin Patterson and Cy Madali took place April 5th. Patterson won by 6 percentage points. I'm joined here with Cecil Hannibal. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I love to talk about Georgia State politics.
As do I. Okay, so Terry Fye did not win or get into the runoff election. What do you think was one of his weakest points in this debate?
Honestly, it was his confidence, right? If you watch the debates, if you were there, you'd see that compared to the other 2 candidates, he didn't seem like an SGA president, you know? He's a great senator, right? He's done great work at Georgia State, but his confidence, his demeanor, it didn't match up. He seemed smaller than the other candidates. And when it comes to a presidential candidate, you have to be a dominant force.
Okay. And do you think that this year's election was a popularity contest?
It's funny you ask, because normally you could say it is, right? Last year was Corey. He's an RA. Everyone knows Corey. He's basically Mr. GSU. The year before that was Fortune. He's a Sigma. The Greeks, some say they kind of run campus in a sense, right? But he was Mr. GSU as well. So in the past years, yes, it was a popularity contest, but this year it was just platform. You have 3 guys who aren't necessarily popular figures at Georgia State, but they ran some good campaigns. They were all over campus. And if you didn't know them now, if you didn't know them before, then now you do.
And Simon Dali was a very great candidate, but what do you think was one of his weaker points as to why he didn't become the SGA president?
Michaela, I'd say it's his age, right? He's a freshman. I commend him for running for SGA president as a freshman in college. He's only been here 2 semesters, right? He hasn't even had a real final yet, you know what I'm saying? But he wants to be the president of Georgia State, which is bold, and the future of Georgia State's SGA is bright, right? Because you have people like Cy who want to be a leader right now. But this was Patterson's year, right? He's the first candidate since the merger to be he came from perimeter, he's been downtown. Now he has both students, I guess, agendas at heart, you know what I mean? Which made him a great candidate.
Okay, so what do you think is the best part of Franklin Patterson's platform?
I'd say him standing up to sex trafficking, right? We're in downtown Atlanta. Atlanta has a very bad sex trafficking problem. And if you look a couple months back, right before the election, we had an incident on campus where students kind of lost their minds for a day because there was a rumor that a group was on campus targeting young women at our school, right? And then Patterson comes in, maybe a month or 2 later, with this sex trafficking campaign, and he's not just talking about it, he's about the action, right? In high school, he was in a group advocating for stopping sex trafficking. So this isn't some new thing he did for the votes or to get the women vote on campus. He's been doing this. So I think when you see his genuine drive for this policy, you'll see that he was the best candidate for this, and that it showed in the polls.
And did you expect for Franklin Patterson to win?
You're gonna put me on the spot. Honestly, I did expect it. I did. I mean, if we're talking about who was the surefire leader for this year and next year, it's Franklin Patterson.
Okay.
So,
Thank you so much, Cecil.
thanks for having me.
Really appreciate you. As always, you can follow us on Instagram at Panther Politics and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Panther Politics with Michaela Newton. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.